Hello dear viewers, I welcome you all to the very first lecture of my channel. Before we start, if you have not subscribed my channel yet, please subscribe and press the bell icon so that you can watch all my upcoming videos and you'll get the notification of them. Today we'll have a basic introduction about anatomy and physiology. Okay, so when we will discuss about anatomy and physiology, we all know that it is about the human anatomy and physiology. Fine. So our journey to study about the human body begins from today. Fine. Let me tell you, when we study about the human body, this study has been divided in many subjects, and the basic subjects among those subjects is anatomy and physiology. Okay, so you all might be knowing the definitions of anatomy and physiology. This anatomy, when we talk about the anatomy means anatomy is composed of two words. One is ana and then there is tomy. Okay, ana means up and tomy means the process of dissection or the process of cutting. Okay, but when we mix the two words anatomy, this anatomy means when we study about the structure of human body. Structure of human body or the structure of various parts of the human body. Fine. So the basic definition of anatomy is very simple. It is the branch of medical science, or it is the branch of science which deals with the study of structure of human body. Okay, when we will know about the structure of the various body parts, then only we can tell about the pathology. Then only if there is any abnormality, we can treat that pathology. Then only we can study about the pharmacology and so on. Okay, so I have told you in the beginning that these two branches of the medical science, when we talk about the human body, when we study about the human body, these two branches are the very basic and very important branches. So anatomy is defined as the branch of medical science which deals with the study of structure of human body. Okay, but when we talk about physiology, this physiology is also composed of two words. One is physio, then there is logy. Physio means nature and logy means study. This physiology, when we define physiology, this physiology is the branch of medical science which deals with the study of functions of this human body. Okay, so this anatomy and physiology, when we talk about the introduction of anatomy and physiology, we have seen the definition of anatomy and the definition of physiology. Simply, anatomy is defined as the branch of medical science which deals with the study of structure of human body or the structure of various body parts. Fine. And then the physiology means it is a branch of science which deals with the study of functions of these body parts or the functions of human body. Fine. Now we'll see the organization of this human body. How this human body is actually formed. Yes. You all might have heard about something which is called as atom. Okay? What is atom? Atom is the smallest matter which exists in the universe. What is matter? Matter is anything which occupies space and has mass. Fine? So you might have studied this in your previous classes. Atom can be defined as the smallest matter. The smallest matter present in the world or universe is atom. Fine? So this atom, for example, atom is carbon atom, oxygen atom, hydrogen atom, nitrogen atom. Okay, so these all are atoms, and these atoms are the smallest things which occupy the space and has mass. Fine? So when these atoms combine together, they form something which are called as molecules. Which are called as molecules. Suppose when we talk about any language, okay, suppose we talk about English language, and English language which I am speaking now, this English language, the basic unit of this English language is the alphabets. Okay, suppose I'm writing here, the basic unit of this English language is alphabet or letters. Suppose A, B, C, D, so and so on. Okay, just like that, the basic just like that, जो English language में जो है, these letters are the basic thing. Just like that, जो हमारी human body का organization है, the basic thing, the smallest thing जो है, that is atom, which is present in the universe. Okay, and these atoms, when combined together, they form the molecules, just like these letters combine together and they form the words. Okay, and when these molecules, suppose there is this water molecule, okay, there is glucose. Fine? So these are molecules which are formed by the combination of atoms. Atoms are the smallest matters. And these molecules, when combined together, they form something which is called as cell. Okay? And this cell, जो है, it becomes the smallest unit of life. Okay, why this is called as smallest unit of life, not molecules and atoms? Because this becomes the smallest thing which has all the features of life, which has all the features what we need to survive. This atom is not a living thing. This atom has not all the features which we need to survive. This molecule has not all the features of life, but it is this cell which has all the features of life, which has all the features what we need to live, what we need to survive. Okay, you might have heard in your previous classes about the unicellular organisms. Right? So unicellular organisms are those organisms which are composed of only one cell. Okay, which are made up of only one cell. एक सिंगल सेल जो है इन ऑर्गेनिज्म्स में जो है एक सिंगल सेल होती है, वो सिंगल सेल की वजह से दे आर कॉल्ड एज यूनिसेल्यूलर ऑर्गेनिज्म्स. यूनि मीन्स वन, सेल्यूलर मीन्स सेल. Okay, they are formed of only one cell. So that means that one cell has all the features, has all the characteristics which we need to live, which we need to survive. जो हमें जिंदा रहने के लिए जो भी हमें functions perform करने हैं, जो भी हमारी जो है हमें processes करनी है, those all processes can be carried by this unit which is called as the cell. Fine. So this cell becomes the smallest unit of life. Fine. So this cell is the smallest unit of life. Then these cells, if it is not a unicellular organism. Okay, so unicellular, only one cell can perform all the functions. Fine. So if it is not unicellular organisms, we are talking about the humans now. We are not composed of a single cell. There are billions and trillions of cells which are present in our body. तो ये cells जो है, ये cells भी आपस में मिलते हैं. जो cells, for example, कुछ cells जो है, they are performing the same function. Okay, these cells have the same origin. They can be of different shapes, but they have the same origin and they perform the same function. And these cells, when combined together, they form something which is called as tissues. Okay, so what is tissue? It is the group of cells. Okay, it is a group of cells. It is a very simple definition that tissue can be defined as the group of cells. Okay, इसको हम थोड़ा और elaborate करना चाहे. Tissue is a group of cells having the same origin and which are performing the same function together. Fine. Now the cells combine together and they form the tissues. Right? So now these tissues also combine together. Okay, these tissues also combine together. There are जो है 4 types of tissues present in our body. Okay, there are 4 types of tissues present in our body. For example, the epithelial tissue, which we will be discussing in the upcoming lectures. The epithelial tissue, then there is nervous tissue, then there is muscular tissue. Okay, और जो है, then there is connective tissue. Fine. So these 4 types of tissues are present in our body, and these 4 types of tissues are formed by the combination of cells. Right. So these tissues जो है, they also combine together. There are 2 or more than 2 tissues, they combine together and they form something in our body which is called as organ. Okay, that is called as organ. Suppose this is my hand. Okay, this is my hand and this hand is an organ. ये हमारी body का एक part है. Right? So this hand is an organ. और जब बहुत सारी cells, for example, there is epithelial cell. Okay, then there is muscle cell. Then there is nerve cell. Okay, तो yes, तो ये सारी cells जो है ये आपस में मिलाती है. nerve cells combine together, they form the nervous tissue. जो है epithelial cells combine together, they form the epithelial tissue. Muscle cells combine together, they form the जो है muscular tissue. Now these tissues जो है 2 or more than 2 tissues combine together and they form the organ. Okay, this is my hand and this is the organ, and this hand जो है ये जो एक organ है, it is composed of the epithelial tissue which forms the outer covering of my hand. Right? Then there are muscles, definitely there are muscles present in my hand, so it is also composed of muscular tissue. Right? And then there are bones also present in my hand, and those bones जो है, they are the type of connective tissue. Right? Then there are definitely nerve cells. If I'm pinching my hand here, if I'm pinching my hand, I'm feeling the pain. Right? And that pain is felt because there are nerve cells present in my hand. Right? So when these 4 types of tissues, it is not necessary there should be all 4 types of tissues present. There can be 2 or more than 2 tissues present which are जो है forming the organ. Okay? So cell is the smallest unit of life which has all the features of life, and cells combined together they form the tissues, and tissues combined together they form the organ. Okay? And then these organs combine together and they form the organ system. they form the organ system. Okay, for example, in our body we have lungs. Okay, then we have trachea, which is commonly known as windpipe, right? And then we have nose. These are different organs, and these organs combine together and they perform a specific function. Combining together, then they form the organ system, which the organs which I talked about, they form the respiratory system. Okay, my lungs, my trachea, my pharynx, okay, my larynx, and my nose, my nostrils, my nasal cavity, all these are organs. These organs combine together and form a system to perform a specific function, and that is called as organ system. Okay, and there are various organ systems present in our body. Suppose respiratory system, we have digestive system, we have excretory system, we have nervous system, we have cardiovascular system, we have lymphatic system, so and so on, which we will be discussing one by one. Fine. So now all these organ systems combine together and they form a complex structure which is called as the human body. Okay, which is called as the human body. Fine. So we'll quickly revise. This atom is the smallest matter. That means it is the smallest thing which has mass and occupies space. And these atoms combine together, they form the molecules. And these atoms and molecules are not considered as the smallest unit of life because they are not having the characteristics, they are not having all the features which we need to live. And these molecules combine together and they form the cell, and this becomes the smallest unit of life because some organisms are composed of only one cell. That means this single cell is performing all the functions in those organisms. Fine. Now these cells in our body can be of different shapes, can be of different sizes, can be of different structures, and definitely they are performing different functions. Okay, some of the examples of these cells are nerve cells, which are also called as neurons. Then there are epithelial cells, then there are muscle cells, and these cells combine together and form a structure which is called as tissue. And there are 4 types of tissues present in our body, and 4 types of tissues are epithelial tissue, which form the outer covering of our body and which lines the hollow organs. And then there is nervous tissue. This nervous tissue carries the information from one part of the body to other part of the body. Then there is muscle tissue or muscular tissue. This muscular tissue helps in the movement of the body by their contractions. And then there is connective tissue, which provides the protection, which provides the connection between the different body parts. And these tissues, when 2 or more than 2 tissues combine together and they form a more complex structure which is called as organ. Many organs combine together to perform a specific function in our body, and that is called as organ system. And all these organ systems combine to form the complex structure that is the human body. Fine? Now, fine. Now, as I have told you that this cell जो है, it is the smallest unit of life which has all the features of life, right? So we will start with the very basic, we'll start our anatomy and physiology with the very basic concept, that is the cellular level of organization. Cellular level of organization or simply we will discuss about the cell. Right? So I have told you that the cell जो है, it is the basic unit of life. Right? So this cell जो है, it is all the living organisms are composed of these cells. Right? Now we are talking about humans, and these humans जो है, or we humans, we are composed of billions and trillions of cells. Right? But this cell is the basic and smallest unit of life. Okay? First, let's see what is the definition of the cell. Right? The cell is defined as the basic structural and functional unit of life. Okay, the cell जो है, it is defined as the basic structural and functional unit of life. Okay, that means the हमारी जो body है, हमारी जो human body है, इस human body का सारी functions are depending upon the cell, and this whole structure is also depending upon the cell. Fine. Let me again give you the example of my hand. This hand is a complex structure. This hand is a body part. Right? So we'll take the example of this body part. This body part का जो structure है, it is not possible if this body part is not having the different tissues. Right? If this body part is not having the epithelial tissue, if the connective tissue is not there, if the nervous tissue is not there, if the muscular tissue is not there, that means this hand, this hand will not exist. Right? And these tissues are only possible when different cells will combine together. Right? So the structure of this hand is wholly and solely depending upon the basic unit of life, that is the cell. Right? So we call this cell as the basic structural unit of life. Okay, and it is also called as the functional unit of life, because when these cells जो है, when these cells are there, then only these cells are performing the जो है functions. For example, I have told you that there are muscle cells. Muscle cells have the property of contraction, and when these muscle cells are contracting, these muscle cells के contraction से ही I am able to move my hand. And this is the function of my hand, right? And this function only becomes possible when I can move my hand, and this movement is possible when there is muscle cell present in my hand, right? And this muscle cell performs the function, then only this organ can perform the function. Right? So this was the example. So we call this cell as the basic structural and functional unit of life. Right? Now, before we proceed to the structure of cell, let us have a look on some of the general features of the cell. Yes. General features of cell. I have already told you that there are different जो है types of cells present in our body. जो cells जो है which can have different shapes, which can have different functions, which can have different structures, which can have different sizes, right? लेकिन जो है all these cells have some general features, some general जो है characteristic features जो इन सारी cells में common है. Right? So they are called as the general features of the cell. So first, before we discuss about the structure of the cell, let's discuss about a few general features of these cells. right? So feature number 1 is all these cells need oxygen and nutrients. Right? So all these cells need oxygen and nutrients. Yes. So ये जो cells हैं, as I have told you, that these cells are the basic structural and functional unit of life. Okay, that means these cells जो है, these cells are performing all the functions in our body. Right? So these cells जो है, they are very important for various complex functions, various complex structures in our body. Okay? लेकिन इन complex functions को perform करने के लिए, इन cells को जिंदा रहने के लिए, they need this oxygen and they need the nutrients. Okay, whatever the structure of the cell is, whatever the shape of the cell is, whatever the origin of the cell is, whatever the function of the cell is, all these cells need oxygen and nutrients. Okay, and all these cells need oxygen and nutrients, and they need this oxygen and nutrients for the survival and for the proper functioning. Right? So this is the feature number 1. Then the feature number 2 of the general feature number 2 of the cells is that they produce their own energy. Produce their own energy. Fine? We have seen that all these cells need oxygen and nutrients to perform various functions. Right? तो अगर हम ऐसे देखें that all these cells have to perform the functions, and to perform these functions they need energy. Right? And this, to produce this energy जो है, they need this oxygen and nutrients. Okay? और जब ये oxygen, when they consume this oxygen and nutrients, no one else is coming from outside and producing energy for the cells. Right? But this is the very important characteristic feature of the cells, that all these cells produce their own energy. ये अपने लिए खुद ही energy produce करते हैं. That energy is utilized in various metabolic activities. Right? Okay, so जो है feature number 1 is all the cells need oxygen and nutrients, and feature number 2 is this oxygen and nutrients is utilized by the cells to produce their own energy. Right? And then this energy is, I have told you, this energy is produced for performing various metabolic activities. Right? And during these metabolic activities, there are many waste products produced inside the cell. Right? There is carbon dioxide produced inside the cell. When these cells take oxygen, they give carbon dioxide in return. Right? So, during various metabolic activities, these waste products are produced inside the cell. And the feature number 3 of the cell is that they eliminate these waste products. They eliminate the waste products. Okay, such as carbon dioxide. During all the metabolic activities inside the cell, various waste products are produced, and cells eliminate these waste products by themselves. No one else is coming from outside and taking these waste products out of the cell. Okay? ये cells जो है, ये अपने अंदर से ये waste products को खुद ही eliminate करते हैं. Okay, so all the cells, they need oxygen and nutrients, and all these cells, they need this oxygen and nutrients to produce energy for them, and this energy is produced so that this energy will be utilized for various metabolic activities, and during these various metabolic activities, these cells produce waste products, and then these cells eliminate these waste products by themselves. Fine. Then feature number next is that these cells show immediate response against any foreign body. Fine? These cells show immediate response against the foreign bodies. Right? So they are doing their stuff by themselves. They are utilizing the oxygen and nutrients. They are producing the energy. They are performing various metabolic activities. They are eliminating the waste products. Now, if any foreign body is coming from outside and that foreign body tries to invade the cell, that foreign body tries to attack the cell, but तो इन सेल्स को जो है बचाने के लिए भी बाहर से कोई नहीं आता है. These cells show immediate response against these foreign bodies. Suppose any bacteria is invading the cell. The bacteria is coming from outside, entering in our body and tries to invade the cell and tries to attack the cell. Fine? So, this cell जो है, whatever the nature of cell is, these cells show immediate response against these foreign bodies. Okay, we will discuss that in future, that these cells in their cell membrane, they have proteins, and some proteins act as antigens and they initiate the process of antibody formation. And antibodies जो है, those antibodies have the capability of fighting against these foreign bodies. Okay, this is the common feature of all the cells, that they show immediate response against the foreign body. And the general feature number next is that they reproduce by cell division. Okay, these cells have the property of cell division. They show the जो है property of reproduction. In cells में cell division होता है, एक से दो बनती है. You might have studied that in your previous classes, mitosis, meiosis. The cell division, वो cell division जो है, that is the property of these cells, that is the feature of these cells. But there are some exceptions. For example, neuron. In neuron जो है, they do not show this property of cell division because of the absence of one organelle in the cells, that is centrosome. That centrosome की absence की वजह से जो neurons है, जो nerve cells है, इनमें cell division नहीं होता है. Almost all the other cells in our body जो है वो ये reproduction की property show करते हैं. Fine. So these are the general features of the cell. Let's quickly revise the general features of the cell. All the cells need oxygen and nutrients, and this oxygen and nutrients is needed by the cells so that they can produce their own energy, and this energy is produced so that these cells can perform various metabolic activities, and during the various metabolic activities जो है many waste products are produced, and cells have the tendency to eliminate those waste products as well. And then these cells, when any foreign body is trying to attack these cells, they show immediate response against the foreign body. And the feature number last is that they reproduce by cell division. Fine. So that is all about the introduction of anatomy and physiology and the introduction of cell. In the next lecture, we'll inshallah discuss about the structure of cell, and I'll tell again, if you have not subscribed my channel yet, please subscribe it and press the bell icon so that you can get the notification of all my upcoming lectures, and all your suggestions are most welcome in the comment section. Thank you.